back. I am Jason Wiersema. This is Tankers Fantasy Football, and we got some great stardom and sit-ems for you this week heading into your Week 9 matchups. But before we get started, you know how we do here at Tankers Fantasy Football. Maybe you throw us a like, maybe you don't. Maybe you hook us up with a subscription, maybe you don't. Maybe you go fuck yourself. All right, we're going to dive right in here. We got some Austin Eckler and Melvin Gordon to lead off the running backs playing the Packers group, the fourth most points to opposing running backs, along with the ninth most yards at 151 scrimmage yards a game as the running backs. I know Melvin Gordon's kind of been shit-tastic out there for you lately since coming back from his holdout. He hadn't had a run over 7 yards thus far this season. But he did get that done versus the Bears with that 19-yard touchdown run last week. He looked a little bit more spry. I'm not really feeling that sexy about it. I am in kind of DEFCON 5 situation in one of my teams with bye week, so I'm going to run out Melvin Gordon in the flex. I'm not really feeling that bad about it. All right, I got some Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman and playing the Browns. We're the fifth most yards at 163 scrimmage yards a game to opposing running back. Phillip Lindsay dealing with a little risk situation. If he somehow sits, Royce Freeman becomes absolutely sexy deluxe play for you out there. All right, we got some Josh Jacobs playing the Lions, giving the fourth most yards at 171 yards a game. Second most touchdowns and the most points to opposing running backs are the Lions. So I'm all in on the Josh Jacobs this week, even with the banged up shoulder. Le'Veon Bell, he's been sucking on that ween for you guys. He has only caught 5 balls since Darnold has returned from mono. It's like Sam Darnold doesn't know how to throw a check down pass. It's like he's playing Madden, and instead of just barely tapping the X to put a little touch on the pass, he's like holding that X, firing it in there when the guy's literally like 2 or 3 feet away. But I don't know. I think this is a big bounce back game for Le'Veon Bell. He's at the Dolphins, giving the second most yards, 181 yards, and the fourth most touchdowns to opposing running backs. So if he doesn't get it done now versus the Dolphins, I mean, we might be talking about golden shovel time for Mr. Le'Veon Bell next week. All right, I think this is a strong start this week. We got Jordan Howard in the revenge game versus my Bears out there. Bears haven't been really doing dick all versus the rush since Akeem Hicks has gone down. I think Jordan Howard, the game is in Philadelphia. I think this is going to be a big time Jordan Howard game. I'm looking for 2 touchdowns out of Jordan Howard this week. As far as Miles Sanders goes, he's kind of a little banged up with his shoulder. He only played like 18% of the snaps last week, got the 6 touches, did find the end zone, so it did make the game look like it was sexy deluxe, with that 18% snap shares got me a little scared, so I think I might be able to maybe looking to sit Miles Sanders this week. Got some Jamal Williams, kind of a flex play situation for you. If you are on the ropes, he has been doing just fine in this change of pace role for the Packers, been finding that end zone, and he's playing the Los Angeles Chargers, giving him the third most points to opposing running back. So that's kind of sexy out there. Got some Tevin Coleman. Everybody around him's kind of falling apart. Matt Breida's not looking to play. Raheem Mostert's questionable, kind of leaning toward not playing out there. Jeff Wilson, he's banged up as well, but he might suit up. But, I mean, this is an all-in smash play. Tevin Coleman versus the Cardinals are giving him the 10th most yards at 141 scrimmage yards a game and the 7th most points to opposing running backs. I think this is an all-in smash play on the Tevin Coleman out there. All right, I think we got a sit here. I think we're going to sit David Montgomery playing against the Eagles, giving them the 6th fewest yards to running backs. I know he finally went out there and got it sexy for you last week. You know he probably can't afford to sit him, but if you got any other options, I would probably look to explore them. All right, we got a solid start. I think this is the power of the urn. Oh, yes, my Undertaker. And we are talking about Adrian Peterson. The power of the urn has resurrected the old man Adrian Peterson out there. He's the Tin Man, and he is undeniable force. He cannot be stopped by mortal men out there. He's playing the Bills. They're giving him the 5th most touchdown. I think Adrian Peterson can find his ass in the end zone. And since Callahan has taken over as the coach for the Redskins, he has been very run heavy, and Adrian Peterson has definitely been getting his touches out there. And I know Darius Geis looking to come back soon, so before he does, I think we're going to get a little last taste of Adrian Peterson being flex play worthy out there. We got some Gore and Singletary. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Redskins are kind of giving it up out there via the run, but I'm just not sure if I'm willing to trust either of these guys. But if you're in desperation, I guess they can both be flex plays. I know Singletary went out there and played his highest snap share of the year last year, but they were trailing in that game like they've never trailed. They're trailing by more than 2 scores. A lot of that second half, they haven't really done that. Singletary is the better receiving back. That probably explains why he was out there more. Well, I don't know, the usage is encouraging out there, and if you're in desperate need, I guess I'd run him out there. I got some sits, and these are more of a temper expectation. Some of these are solid sits. More of these are temper expectation. I know you can't bench Chris Carson, but he is playing the Bucs. Get him the fewest yards to running backs at only 86 scrimmage yards to running backs a game. So between, if you got Chris Carson and like Jordan Howard on your team, and you're like, I can only start one of these guys, I would probably lean toward Jordan Howard this week. I know it sounds a little crazy, but the Bucs are surprisingly very stiff versus the run. I think this is a solid sit with David Johnson. If he somehow suits up, I think that's illusion. I hope he doesn't really suit up, even though I have him on my team. I hope they just give him the extra 10 days off after this Thursday game to get right. But we're talking about Kenyon Drake more here because he's going to suit up. Barely knows the playbook. Probably not playing that many snaps. And he's playing against the Niners, giving the 5th fewest yards at 108 scrimmage yards to a game and the 2nd fewest touchdowns. So I wouldn't expect much from Kenyon Drake this week. We got some Mark Ingram. I know he probably can't sit him either, but this is kind of a DEFCON 5 situation. Patriots give him the 3rd fewest yards at 98 scrimmage yards a game, 2 opposing running backs, the fewest touchdowns, and the fewest fantasy points to opposing running backs are the Patriots. All right, another sit. There's another kind of temper expectations as well. Marlon Mack, I know he's been your RB2 deluxe. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been kind of stiff against the run. That Colts offensive line is fierce, though, so I'm probably not looking to sit him. I'm probably just looking to temper expectations. But the Steelers, it's at Pittsburgh. They're giving them the 3rd fewest points and the 6th fewest touchdowns to opposing running backs. This next one, I think, is a solid sit. And with Sean McCoy and Damian Williams, Vikings are giving them the 7th fewest yards and the 4th fewest touchdowns, so I would look elsewhere than the Kansas City backfield this week. All right, we're going to move right into some wide receivers for you guys. We got some DJ CHARK. I know he's the 5th-ranked wide receiver in PPR, but people still need to be reassured about the DJ CHARK as a weekly starting option, which I do believe he is. He's got the Texans. Give him the third. Give him the 3rd most yards. 2 wide receivers, give him 193 yards of wide receiver, give him the 3rd most touchdowns as well, and they're giving him the 2nd most points. And I think this is more about a Chris Conley situation. If DJ Westbrook sits, I think Chris Conley can be a solid flex play for you this week versus the Texans. Okay, we got some Tyler Lockett, another kind of smash play for you out there playing the Bucs. Give him the 7th most yards. The wide receivers give him 184 yards and the 4th most points. I think this is more about the other guy as well. We got some DK Metcalf for you. I know he scored 2 touchdowns last week. He had like 3 catches for like 14 yards. He had the 2 touchdowns. Kind of a touchdown hawk. If you need a flex play, I think you can look to get yourself some DK Metcalf as well. All right, this is another kind of tandem, kind of smash play, and kind of the other guys, kind of, flex play worthy situation. You got some Dallas Cowboy receivers, got some Amari Cooper. They're going at the Giants, giving up the most yards, giving up 202 yards, 2 wide receivers all game. I think this is more about Michael Gallup being a decent flex play for you this week, getting a bounce back game. He's had a couple letdowns these last couple weeks before their bye. I think he's looking to get it right. I think he's looking to get it tight. And I think we can roll out some Michael Gallup this week. All right, got some Allen Robinson in a great matchup at Philadelphia. I know he's got Trubisky still throwing the ball, but if Trubisky completes a pass, about 90% sure it's going to be to my boy Allen Robinson out there. He's only got eyes for the A-Rob. He's given, then the Eagles are giving the 6th most yards, 185 yards to wide receivers, the 2nd most touchdowns, and the most fantasy points to wide receivers. So all in on some Allen Robinson. Kenny Galladay, another smash play versus the Raiders, giving the 5th most yards, 186 yards, and then giving up the 3rd most points to opposing wide receivers. But I'm still looking to bench Marvin Jones. I know he scored the 4 touchdowns the week before. I only let you down last week. He's just too up and down. If the guy goes out there and gets you 2 touchdowns somehow, I mean, be damned. What are you going to do about it? But I don't think you can have any faith in a guy like Marvin Jones. Danny Amendola has been out there eating lately. I don't know. I think Marvin Jones is at best like 3rd or 4th on the target list on his team. I think you got to go and you got to keep Marvin Jones on your bench. All right, kind of a dicey play because the Jets have looked so damn puke, filth, garbage. But I think Robbie A, this is another gut check. This is another you get it done now or you're never getting it done and I'm done with you situation with Robbie A, Crowder, and Demaryius Thomas at the Dolphins. You're going to have the most touchdowns to opposing wide receivers. All right, we got some sits at wide receiver. Fitzgerald playing Thursday night, playing against the Niners, giving up the fewest yards, 112 yards to wide receivers, and giving up the 6th fewest points. I think you can still play Christian Kirk in the flex and full point PPR league because his usage is just so high when he has been on the field. I think you can still get away with Christian Kirk getting you like 12 to 14, 15 PPR points if you need that to happen. But I'm looking to solid sit on the Larry Fitzgerald. Or we got Cortland Sutton. I love the cut of Cortland Sutton's jib. I really do. It's not about the matchup necessarily. He's playing the Browns. It's not about the matchup. It's about the unknown at quarterback. Joe Flacco's out for the foreseeable future. Drew Lock is not ready to go. And, you know, this is a player to be named later situation. I don't think you can run Cortland Sutton out with any kind of confidence right now. I think they're just going to lean on the run game versus the Browns and just hope that that works. So if you got any other options, I'm thinking about sitting Cortland Sutton this week. All right, Odell Beckham Jr. No, you probably can't sit him, but he's going to have the fierce coverage of Chris Harris. Chris Harris went out there and shut down T.Y. last week. And the Chargers are giving up the 2nd fewest yards at 113 yards, 2 wide receivers all week, and the 5th fewest touchdowns along with the 3rd fewest fantasy points. So I know you got to start OBJ, but I'm just telling you, he's probably more of a back-end wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 this week than he would be. You know, yeah, he's only been like wide receiver 1 like one time thus far this season. So I know you got to start him. His name value alone, the guy goes out there and somehow blows it up, you'll feel like an absolute dick. But I'm just saying, temper your expectations on the OBJ. All right, we got some Hollywood Brown. Even if he does suit up versus Patriots, I'm saying it's a no-go, solid no-go. Patriots giving him the 3rd fewest yards at 117 yards of wide receivers a game, fewest amount of touchdowns, and the 2nd fewest amount of fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. So all in on the Hollywood Brown set. All right, moving the Ernest side because we got a couple tight ends and a couple of quarterbacks to talk to you guys about now. We got a smash play in George Kittle. I know you're starting George Kittle, you know, come hell or high water or whatever the fuck else it is, you're starting his ass. But he's playing the Cardinals, giving the 2nd most yards, giving up the most touchdowns and the most points. So all in smash play on the George Kittle. All right, Hunter Henry playing against the Packers, giving the 3rd most touchdowns to wide receiver. Feel good about yourself playing some Hunter Henry as well. I know you probably can't sit Mark Andrews because wide receiver is so thin. The tight end so thin, you don't really have that many options. And he is a sexy man beast out there. The Patriots are giving the 2nd fewest yards and the 2nd fewest touchdowns and the 2nd fewest points to opposing tight ends. So if you're sitting, you got, you know, somehow you got 2 good, you know, maybe you went late at tight end, maybe you got Andrews and Waller, maybe you got, you know, Andrews and Austin Hooper or something like that. Maybe you got 2 sexy deluxe late tight ends. I'd lean toward the other guy this week in your matchup. So we got some starts at quarterback, got some Minshew playing the Texans, giving the 5th most yards, 293 yards to quarterbacks a game, and the 5th most touchdowns. So if you're in need of a streamer, I'd look for some Minshew along with some David Carr playing against the Lions. They're giving the most yards, 303 yards passing every week on average are the Lions. So if you're looking for a streamer, and get yourself some Derek Carr. You're going to have a solid bench on the Kyler Murray. He hasn't really found the end zone these last 2 weeks. And he's playing the Niners, giving up the fewest amount of pass yards a game, a gross 156 yards passing a game. That's incredible in this day and age in the NFL. And they're giving up the 2nd fewest touchdowns and the 2nd fewest fantasy points. So all in on the Kyler Murray sit. All right, boys. You like the cut of my jib? Hook me up with a like. Go ahead and just touch that like button, baby. I know you want to. Just get it done for me. Just go down there and touch it a little bit. All right. You got any comments? You got any questions? Put that shit down in the comment sections. Who do I start? Who do I trade for? What the fuck am I doing? Go down there and put that shit in the comment section below. I will get back to you. I always do. Alright, holler at me.
I'm hot as fuck, bitch.